A drone struck the mobile command post of Russia's 31st Air Defense Division near the village of Olenivka in the Cape Tarkan-Kut area of temporarily occupied Crimea, Russian telegram channel Astra reported. The attack reportedly damaged a mobile radar station. No casualties were reported. Late on February the 25th, explosions were heard across occupied Crimea. Reports indicated drone attacks and air defense activity in various parts of the peninsula, with explosions and air defense operations heard in Kerch and Saky. The previous day, Russian telegram channels reported multiple explosions in the area of Tuapse in Russia's Krasnodar Krai, where several drones attacked the local seaport. Regional Governor Veniamin Kondratyev later confirmed the drone attack, stating that debris allegedly damaged 3 residential buildings. Crimea serves as a strategic hub for Russia's military operations against Ukraine, hosting air bases, ammunition depots, communication centers, radar stations, and air defense systems. Ukrainian drone strikes aim to weaken Russia's military presence and reduce the threat of missile attacks. The recent string of Ukrainian strikes against occupied Crimea may help degrade Russian air defenses in the area and decrease the threat to Ukrainian tactical aviation, said experts. Air defense losses apparently made Moscow nervous enough to move elements of the latest S-500 system to the peninsula, Ukraine's military intelligence chief Kirill said. Russian officials have not commented on the claim. The S-500, development by Russia's Almaz-Antey state enterprise, which began in the late 2000s, is said to be able to take on all aerial threats, including stealth aircraft, intercontinental ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, and low-orbit satellites. It can be configured for long-range air defense or for missile defense. The S-500 and its components are mounted on the BAZ-6909 family of multi-terrain vehicles and include advanced battle management radar systems to support detection and engagement of multiple targets simultaneously. The system has a claimed maximum operational range of 600 kilometers at altitudes of up to 200 kilometers, a major improvement on Russia's current S-300 and S-400 systems, as well as exceeding the capabilities of the US Patriot and THAAD systems. Earlier, Telegram channel Astra reported that in the first 2 months of 2025 alone, drones had attacked at least 17 oil facilities in Russia.
President Donald Trump said Thursday that talks to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine are very well advanced, and he expressed confidence that Russian leader Vladimir Putin won't press to restart the war if a truce can be reached. According to Associated Press, Trump made the comments at the start of a White House meeting with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, where the Starmer was expected to make his case to the Republican president that American leadership would be critical to maintain the peace in Ukraine should the 3-year war end. "I think he'll keep his word," Trump said of Putin. "I've spoken to him, I've known him for a long time now, we had to go through the Russian hoax together." The mention of Russia hoax is a reference to the FBI and Justice Department special counsel investigation that examined whether Trump's 2016 presidential campaign illegally coordinated with Russia to sway the outcome of the U.S. election. Special counsel Robert Mueller found that although the Trump campaign welcomed Russia's help in the form of the release of hacked emails stolen from Democrats, there was insufficient evidence to prove that the campaign had colluded with Moscow. Starmer's trip, coming a few days after French President Emmanuel Macron's own visit to Trump, reflects the mounting concern felt by much of Europe that Trump's aggressive push to find an end to the war signals his willingness to concede too much to Putin. Trump's rapprochement with Russia has unsettled America's historic allies in Europe. They have found themselves on their heels, with Trump returning to the White House with a determination to dramatically make over U.S. foreign policy to correspond with his "America First" worldview. The Trump administration held talks last week with Russia without Ukrainian or other European allies represented. And this week, the U.S. refused to sign on to resolutions at the United Nations blaming Russia for the war, which began 3 years ago when Moscow invaded. The drifting White House view of Ukraine under Trump is leading to a tectonic shift in transatlantic relations. His administration is pushing back on the notion that Trump is ignoring Europe or is too eager in his push for settlement talks with Putin. He hasn't conceded anything to anyone, Vice President J.D. Vance said. He's doing the job of a diplomat. At a White House meeting Friday, Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are expected to sign off on a contentious agreement that would give the U.S. access to Ukraine's critical minerals, which are used in the aerospace, defense, and nuclear industries. Zelensky had chafed at a deal without specific security guarantees from Washington. Trump was non-committal about any coming American security guarantees, and underscored that Russia would think twice about attacking Ukraine should the U.S. build an economic footprint in Ukraine to extract critical minerals.
Yeah, please, ma'am, go ahead.
Mr. President, what would you be willing to do if Vladimir Putin did not,
If he
did not stick to the terms of any deal on Ukraine? Because he has a history of not sticking to his word when it comes to international agreements.
I think he'll keep his word. I think I've spoken to him. I've known him for a long time now. I've known him. We had to go through the Russian hoax together. That was not a good thing. It's not fair. That was a rigged deal and had nothing to do with Russia. It was a rigged deal with inside the country, and they had to put up with that too. They put up with a lot. It wasn't just us. They had to put up with it, with a phony story that was made up. I've known him for a long time now, and I think he will. I don't believe he's going to violate his word. I don't think he'll be back when we make a deal. I think the deal's going to hold. Now, they're going to have security. You're going to have security. Yep. You're going to have soldiers. I know France wants to be there. The president has said he wants to have soldiers there. I don't think we're going to even be necessary, but I don't think there'll be any problem with keeping the deal with the security. But I have to say this, as I said yesterday, you're talking about a peacekeeping force. We have to make a deal first. Right now, we don't have a deal. We have Russia. We have Ukraine. I think we're very well advanced. I think Russia has been acting very well. We have Representatives Steve Witkoff and Scott and Marco and JD. We're all involved, every one of us, and a lot more. But I think we're very well advanced on a deal, but we have not made a deal yet. So I don't like to talk about peacekeeping until we have a deal. I like to get things done. I don't want to give it the bad luck sign. We don't want to do that. But
it sounds as though one of you completely trusts President Putin and one of you doesn't trust him an inch. Have I got that right? And why do you trust him?
Look, it's trust and verify. Let's call it that. And I think we both can be that way. You have to verify because you never know what's going to happen. I know a lot of people that you would say no chance that they would ever deceive you, and they're the worst people in the world. I know others that you would guarantee they would deceive you. And you know what? They're 100% honorable, so you never know what you're getting. No, I have confidence that if we make a deal, it's going to hold.
Mr. President, is there anything you can say tomorrow to President Zelensky to reassure him that his country's war hasn't been in vain and its sovereignty is not going to be threatened by any deal with Russia?
Well, he's coming. Perhaps he's already on his way. And we're going to be signing the deal together, probably in front of the media. And we're going to be having a good conversation. No, we want to work with him, President Zelensky, she said before. We want to work with him, and we will work with him. I think the president and I actually have had a very good relationship. It maybe got a little bit testy because we wanted to have a little bit of what the European nations had. They get their money back by giving money. We don't get the money back. Biden made a deal. He put in $350 billion. And I thought it was a very unfair situation.
We're not getting all of ours. I mean, quite a bit of ours was gifted. It was given. There were some lends, but mainly it was gifted, actually.
Mr. President, the Europeans want Ukraine to be part of NATO as part of this deal. Are you willing to budge on that at all, or is it a firm?
Well, I could be very nice and say, oh, well, we'll work to it. Look, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. That's what started this whole thing. Biden said that, and all of a sudden the gun started. That was one of the primary reasons this started. And this was long before President Putin. They never said it was an impossibility. So we can say, oh, gee, well, we'll try. But that's something that's just not going to happen. And then the other question you ask is about the land. will you get your land back? Well, they've fought long and hard on the land, and you and I will be discussing that, and we're going to certainly try and get as much as we can back. But on the NATO, it's just not, that's not going to happen. Yeah, please.